guys, welcome to the next episode of the M. Night Shyamalan review series. This is episode 6, 2006's Lady in the Water. This film I have seen once before. I saw it with my father when it initially came out, and the only thing I remember about this movie was the guy who was working out with one arm. I don't know why that stuck out in my head. However, I remembered it differently, which is it's like that Mandela effect. I remember his other arm being a lot skinnier than his right arm. I remember his right arm being jacked as hell like Arnold, and his other arm just being skinny as hell. So it wasn't the case. This arm was still normal, and this arm wasn't fully jacked. But whatever. Lady in the Water follows a man who, I guess he's the caretaker, the manager of an apartment complex. He fixes everything. He fixes stoves. He goes around. He helps out their residents and whatnot. And he discovers a woman in the water who seeks his help. She's some sort of water nymph or a mermaid or whatever you want to call her. And she must, for some reason, find somebody who is special, and she must look at him, and then she'll be taken away by an eagle. And this guy must help her find that person so that she could escape, because there is a grass dog that looks like grass that is trying to eat her. Yeah, this is a weird movie. So let's just get right into the review. M. Night Shyamalan is a very weird director. A writer, at least. These characters, they come off hokey sometimes. Even in the movie Signs, it was in Village, definitely. It's just the dialogue is sometimes like almost comical and over the top and campy. And it works sometimes. And I think it worked a lot more in this movie than it did in The Village. This film also has the girl who was in The Village, Ivy, who was in Jurassic World. She's in this movie as the water nymph. Man, she's in 2 of Shyamalan's bottom films. And she was okay in the movie. She didn't really have as much acting because she just remained quiet and mysterious throughout the movie, so there wasn't much for her to do. However, the lead character, I think his name's Hebe, he was a very likable character. I was, especially me, I was rooting for him. I thought he was a very well done character. And the way he just quickly accepts the situation of this storybook water nymph that's in his house now is pretty interesting. It shows where he is in life, that he just quickly accepts this weird story and wants to help her and starts believing all this magical stuff. So yeah, that's all fun and dandy. All the side characters in this movie that live in the apartment complex are all fun in their own right. They're distinct. They have quirks and a lot. My favorite one of them all is the movie critic. Yeah, this movie's not even it's not a horror movie. I guess it's a thriller with a fantasy thriller, and it just wasn't for me. It was too campy. It was weird, and the dog creature was pretty neat. It was like a wolf, and it's trying to hunt her down. It was a pretty neat little thing, but the story, it was just okay. I don't remember why. I don't know, like, why was she sent from this blue world where she's from, the water nymph, to our world to look at this guy and then get taken back home. I don't fully get it. I don't know why it's occurring, and it's totally weird and off-putting. The way the main character gets information on these water nymphs is really bogus. It's basically like going out to the library and opening a book and reading exactly what you need. You find exactly what you need in that book, except this is much lamer. It's not even a spoiler, but he ends up going to one of the residents, and they know the story of these water nymphs, and they just happen to tell him the entire story throughout the movie. Whenever the plot needs to be moved forward, he goes and talks to this character to tell him what to do. It's not really that well thought out. And then the climax of the movie, there's a party, and it's just it didn't come together that well. The acting was not that great. I did take this movie a little more seriously, and it was a lot more bearable to watch than The Village. but it still wasn't that great. Before I get into the spoilers, I'm going to give it a rating. This film is a D minus. Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely better than The Village. It does not give me high hopes for what comes next in his filmography. This is not a good film. It's a tolerable film, but it's not a good film. It does have merit at points, and he's very good at creating suspense and again twists. The twist of the movie is it's kind of a small twist. It's not really that big in the grand scheme of things, but the main character is doesn't have this designation as guardian anymore. I guess all the characters they were getting like this, the guild, the healer, someone in the apartment complex had one of these titles, and he had to find them. And the water nymph thought he was the guardian, and you're spending the entire movie thinking that he's in fact the guardian. In reality, he's not. He was the healer all along. And it wasn't really that big, but like I'm like, oh, that's interesting. He's the healer. Like M Night is great at setting up these little twists in the beginning and middle of the movie for it to pay off in the end. So, for example, in this movie, what led him to be that healer, like one of the clues is that when she got bit initially by the dog, she was poisoned. He basically had to go dive under the water, hold his breath, go into this little weird tomb thing in the pool, and find her magic healing potion. Man, this is a weird movie. But he finds that potion, brings it back to her, and she heals. It's just, there's some subtle hints to that throughout the entire movie, that he is in fact the healer. So I appreciated that. The party scene at the end was weird, and no one seemed to take it seriously. Like the guild workers, they weren't really the guild. They were a bunch of stoners, and like I don't know, it just none of it fully made sense. I appreciated when the movie critic died. I thought that was kind of funny. Um, it was just I was left wondering the entire time, why am I watching this movie? Like what's the point of all this? There's an entire scene in which the main character gets and finds all these characters that have these titles and whatnot and roles that they will play, and brings them into the bathroom where the water nymph is. She's just sitting in the shower like naked, and all of them, the stoners, the guy with the crosswords, they're all sitting there or standing there looking at her, and they're buying into everything that he's saying, even though what he's saying is absolutely insane. But Hebe's character, I did enjoy him. They gave him a backstory that his family died. They didn't need that. All that they needed was that he was a man who felt like he was just serving others, and he didn't really have much of a purpose in life. And I felt that right off the bat. I didn't need that extra backstory of him. I just felt that he was a guy who didn't have much of a purpose. And as soon as this water nymph knocked on his door, basically, and he pretty much, it didn't take long for him to buy into that story, and he didn't question it too much that she was this magical being. And a lot of people might attribute that to bad writing, just saying, well, why would he just accept that? But it's because he's so desperate for a purpose that he's willing to believe in this fantastical story, even though there was some evidence for it. But I feel like a lot more people would be in denial about it. He just accepted it because he wanted to help her and do something more. I probably won't watch this movie again. I would not put this film in an M. Night Shyamalan movie marathon. So the next film I watch is The Happening from 2008, starring Mark Wahlberg, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Hello? My name is Elliot Moore. Just going to talk in a very positive manner, giving off good vibes. We're just here to use the bathroom.